Hey everybody, and welcome to Admissionado's Insider's Guide to London Business School, a part of our series on European business schools. My name is Yaron Dahan, Senior Consultant at Admissionado, and I'm here to talk to you about the fantastic school that is London Business School. So, let's get rocking. All right, before we get into LBS per se, which is of course short for London Business School, LBS, let's talk in general about what is unique about a European MBA. Ironically enough, a lot of this stuff doesn't apply to LBS because it's kind of like a little more American than a lot of the European MBA schools. But since it's a part of our series on European MBA schools, let's go over this stuff one more time. So usually um, we have shorter, more or less 1 year programs for European programs. LBS is not a 1 year program. It's a normal, actually 2 year program, but you can also finish it shorter, in a shorter amount of time, 15 months or 18 months. They have good deadlines, which is true for most European programs, not for LBS, meaning that they're really good options for those who are late in the game or for those who didn't get accepted to US programs of their choice. Why? Because deadlines for schools such as INSEAD or IMD are actually in the spring. So January, February, March, April, you can start your applications and you'll be ready for round one, which is pretty cool. LBS is not the case. Normal deadline like the American schools, so September, October, and then once again in January for round two. Access to jobs in Europe, which is a unique factor that does apply, of course, to LBS, given that it's situated in Europe, the lovely city of London, which I'm sure you've all heard about and perhaps even been to, and which is, of course, one of its main attractions, or other international locations. What do I mean by that? That European business schools in general, and LBS is no exception in this case, um, a lot of the graduates end up working in European companies, in European countries, but also internationally. The programs tend to really focus on their international aspect. So if you're looking for global jobs, be it in any continent in the world, Asia, Africa, Australia, and so on and so forth, European business schools are your thing. Not that US business schools are bad for that either, can be also be fantastic, but people who do go to top US business schools do tend to stay in the United States, maybe because there are really good salaries or whatever other reasons, but this is the case. Often, going to a European MBA program is a great opportunity to learn a new language. Although here, given that they do still speak English in London, although kind of sometimes weird, bizarro type of English, at least for an American such as myself. Um, I don't know if you could count it as a new language, since they did invent our language, the English. But normally, it's an opportunity to learn a new language. So if you were to go to a school in Germany or France or Holland or wherever, in England, you get to stick to English, which is maybe even an advantage for you. Um, but again, this is where LBS is not exactly like the continental European programs. And as I mentioned before, they have very global, very diverse programs and student bodies in general, more so than US programs. And we will take a look at some numbers there. Here, we will take a look at some numbers. So, how global are the programs really? So, let's take a look at Harvard, which is kind of, well, the top ranked school in the US, of course, but in its percentages of international students, it's very typical and representative of an American MBA program. So we see about a third of students, a third of faculty are international. In LBS, we're looking at 91% of students are international, meaning not from England. Yeah, 86% of faculty. Where do people work? Look at the numbers for Harvard. 83% stay in the US. Yeah. But from LBS, only 17% stay in Europe, 11 in the UK. People are going to Asia, to Africa, to the Middle East, to even back to America, to Latin America, to the Caribbean. So basically, really, your options are totally global and if your goals fit with this kind of global outlook, LBS can be a fantastic, amazing, jolly good choice for you. So before we get into talking about the very specifics of LBS, let's just take a look at the top programs in Europe in general. Quick run through here. I'm not going to go through all of the European programs. There are, of course, a lot more than fit on this one slide, but just kind of run through the names to familiarize you with the top ones. So in France, we have INSEAD and HEC, which are the kind of like the top programs. Spain, Instituto Empresa, ISE, and ESADA. England, we have our LBS, which we're talking about today. Oxford and Cambridge. Warwick and Manchester are the top schools. And in other countries, we have IMD in Switzerland, Rotterdam in Holland, Bocconi in Italy, and Mannheim in Germany. So each of these last four schools are kind of the representative top school in their country, although there are other good schools in each of these countries. So just a little note about that. When you go to European business school, I guess it would be a little bit of a mistake to be like, oh yeah, I want to go live and work in Europe. Although it kind of also does work like that, but you're also going to be going to a specific country with a kind of a specific language and a specific culture, and with specific opportunities in that language and culture and in that country to work thereafter. So, if you go to business school in Germany, you might end up living and working in Germany, not necessarily in France or Holland. So take that into consideration when you think about what your goals are and what you want to do. So let's talk about LBS, all these lovely buildings that pepper the city of London, the very famous and sometimes infamous city of London. So LBS in the heart of London. LBS offers hands down the strongest finance program in Europe. I don't know how much more there is to say about that, but it's the strongest finance program in Europe with the best placements in the London finance world. And of course, one of the major advantages is its proximity, or not even proximity, its location in the heart of the London finance hub. And that means not just physical location, but also kind of prestige, elbow rubbing, and connections. So very good choice for you folks who want to get into finance. The program is based on experiential learning, so a little bit different from Harvard, the top US program, based on the case study program. So if that's your thing, could be good for you. Very important to note, LBS in one respect is very much like other European programs in that the students are much older than in the US MBA program. So in the US MBA program, average age will be, let's say, 26, maybe 27, depending on the school. Here, average student is 29 years old with 6 years of experience. So if you're coming with 1 or 2 years of experience, you may want to rethink applying LBS at this moment and maybe kind of delaying it for a few years down the line, because they really do look for a bit more experience. So think about that when it comes to thinking about your schools that you're going to apply to and how you fit. Like I mentioned before, very international class. 95%. I think this is a statistic from another year. Before it was 91%, but basically in the 90%, 1/3 of the students coming from Asia. And as I did mention before, it is a 2-year program generally, but it's set up as a 2-year program. You can complete it in shorter amounts of time by kind of squeezing out your holidays and making the program 15 or 18 months. If that fits your goals better, let's say, I don't know, you have some sort of startup plan, you don't really need to take the time to take internships and so on and so forth. So LBS is basically the top ranked program, not only in the UK, but in Europe too. And that's according to Financial Times. And it has been for quite some time. So who is the LBS MBA? You, of course, meaning you, Austin Powers, and you, folks listening to this webinar. But who is the LBS MBA? What kind of folks is LBS looking for? So come from or go to finance or consulting, meaning question of fit in terms of your goals and the school's matching your goals to the school's strength. So 1/3 of graduates take finance jobs, 1/3 take consulting jobs. The numbers speak for themselves. Don't need to say anything more about that. As I mentioned before, the LBS MBA is older and more experienced, so don't apply 1 year out of school. Average age is 29, average work experience 6 years. They get a job in the UK, so nearly half of LBS graduates end up working in the UK. They are very diverse. People come from over 50 countries, with only 11% coming from the UK. So you're going to be going there, and it's going to be a little bit different than like we saw the numbers before, and really a different experience than an American program. So you go to any American program, you can have 20 to 40% international, and it's really an American program. Everybody there is American, and here only 11% of the people from UK. So we're already like, it's a little bit like the UN, which is great, fantastic, groovy. All right, let's get into those application tips. We have so many application tips that they fill 2 slides this time. Look at our lovely English friends. We can talk about them a little bit later. So, show LBS your potential contributions. LBS like candidates who do and candidates who participate. It's part of their team mentality. So show how you will take part in the club's activities, projects of LBS. Good idea is always to base it on your past achievements. So like our friend Mr. Churchill here, perhaps one of the most famous, if not the most famous Briton of recent times, whose greatest achievement was having saved the world from forces of evil and so on. Another good tip would be to be different. So what makes you stand out, besides your amazing work experience and business background, and what else you got in your profile that makes you really unique? So LBS looks for mold breakers. Of course, mold breakers succeed, but find that different thing. And when I say different, probably I don't know, your 1 hour of volunteering as a tutor is not going to make you necessarily different. When you think different, it's like, wow, they've probably never read this before. So, if you ever saved an orphan from a burning building, that's pretty different, yeah? Or if you have a very strange mustache without the beard that kind of wraps around your entire face, that makes you pretty different. All right, that wasn't so funny, was it? Sorry. Last, play up your internationalism. Like I said before, the school is really international, and they want to see that you have this already in your profile. So, ideal situation is having actually been assigned in Europe. Even better would be global leadership somewhere in Europe, meaning you've been abroad or and you've managed a team of so many people. Now, a lot of people don't have this experience, which is okay, but see what else you can pull out of your profile. Have you ever, I don't know, worked on a team, even virtual international team? Do you work in other languages? Do you work sometimes in French or German or Spanish, or what do I know? Kind of trips abroad. It's better if it's more than just holiday, because really holiday's not that exciting. Everybody goes on holiday to other countries, but something kind of work related or volunteer work would also be really fantastic. So as much as possible, play up your internationalism, because they are going to be looking for that. Next, and I did mention this before, but fit your goals with the school's strengths. Meaning if they fit, yeah. So since a full 2/3 of the graduating class going to either finance or consulting every year, it kind of makes sense if you have a goal that fits these strengths. Now, this does not mean that if you have other goals, you're not going to get in. Not at all. If it's more important actually that your goals fit your own personal history rather than they fit the school. But the idea is that if your goals do happen to fit a strength that matches the school's strength, you can use this in your application by mentioning it, being like, hey, my goal is to get into consulting, and I'm a good candidate for consulting because of ABC, the specific things I've done in my past. And guess what? Since your school is the best school in consulting in Europe, it'll be fantastic if I go to your program. And then they'll be like, hey, yeah, sure, come on. We hope. So next, show your love for London and your connection to that wonderful city on the Thames if you have one. Again, it's not absolutely necessary, but if you do have it, it can work, and I have seen it really work really well in the past. So cite your favorite Shakespeare phrase. Write about that life-changing semester abroad that you passed in London. Let them know about those great Londoner friends that you already know. But show them that you know how you're going to already fit in, because London is a massive metropolis like New York or Paris, and if the school knows that you're going to fit in from the get-go, then they may be a little bit more interested to have you as a part of the team, as part of the graduating class. So use that to your advantage. Finally, highlight that leadership experience. Okay, here we're not getting into anything that's really different from any other school, but it's important to mention it because it still remains probably actually the most important thing, even beyond all the other things I talked about. It does apply for every business school in the universe, probably even those in Mars, Venus, and other planets that I don't know about. Another not really funny joke, sorry about that. But basically, international leadership experience, and if you have international leadership experience, then it really does fit LBS super, super good. Super, super good. All right, what is the bottom line? God save the Queen. And LBS's MBA program is a fantastic, amazing, jolly good choice for those who wish to work in Europe, especially in the UK. Of all European schools, it has the best finance placements. And it is one of the few schools in Europe whose prestige, placement, and post-MBA salary really matches that of a top 10 US program. Even really, let's be honest, the top 3 US programs. So LBS is one fantastic school and a tough one to get into. But you guys can do it. If you need any help or have any questions, you can, and of course, should contact us. You can sign up for a free profile evaluation with our European program experts. So visit our webpage there and drop us a line, send us your profile, ask whatever questions you have, and we can also chat with you. Or you can just send off an email to info@admissionado.com, and we will get back to you as soon as we can, usually within 24 hours. And that's all, folks. So it's been great to be here, great to have you here. I wish you great luck with all of your applications, wherever you decide to apply. And if there is really any way that we can be of help, any way we can advise you, just drop us a line and be happy to help. So my name is Yaron Dahan, and I am signing off for today. Take care, guys.